guys, welcome back to Lily Reads. Okay, so in today's video, we are going to do a June wrap-up. How would I describe my June reading month? I would say, looking at these books, forgettable. I think when December wraps around, I'm going to forget a majority of the books that I read this month. Even the ones that I like were moving a little forgettable. I don't think they were boring. I think last month was boring. Like, it was just hard for me to get into. These were just forgettable. I don't have any real malice towards any of these books but one. So it's just like, it's forgettable. Like, okay, I read in June. Like, that's pretty much it. I read in June. But that just pretty much sums up my 2022 thus far. It's just been a whole lot of I read, like I guess I read, but nothing all that memorable. So I'm just gonna run through, give you my thoughts on these books, just in case you missed any of my reading vlogs. All of these books were in a reading vlog except for one. I wasn't really able to read anything outside of my reading vlogs. I think I bit off more than I can chew last month when it came to reading vlogs. Like, I'm trying to find my rhythm over here on this channel, what's easy for me to read, because reading kind of consumed a lot of my life last month. I know that is not what we're here for, but it did, because I decided to do so many reading vlogs and I did a reading vlog every single week, which I want to do, but I read too many books in those reading vlogs. Like, some reading vlogs are just going to have to be less books. But anyways, all these were in reading vlogs, but if you missed them, I'm going to go through and tell you guys my thoughts on the book. So first, All Her Little Secrets by Wanda M. Moore. So this is about a black woman who works at a law firm, and she's having an affair with the head of this law firm. And one day she goes into his office to have some little meeting, and all of a sudden he is down on the floor, shot in the head, dead. She runs out of the office and is like, I'm not going to tell nobody I was in this. I don't want anyone to know this happened, nor do I want anyone to know that I had an affair with this white man. Well, as a police come in and things, the walls start to come close to her, we find out that, you know, there are secrets, there are mysteries, she has history, she has family, she has all of these things, and it comes together to make this a mystery thrillery novel. I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. This book was just not for me. I learned from this book that I do not like workplace thrillers, and I am going to make sure that I don't pick up any workplace thrillers in the future. I was never going to like this book. I honestly should have DNF'd this book, but I was reading it for a vlog. I did not like this book. This book was not good. I did not find... This book also has a trope that is starting to reoccur in like my mystery books about black people. The twist in this book is a twist I've seen 2, 3 too many times. And so, like, it was just no for me all around. There is a B plot going on about her leaving her small town in South Carolina to become this high-powered attorney. And I did find that storyline good, and that is why I pushed this up to 2 stars. But overall, I found everyone's motivations to be very, very weak. I found everyone's threading in the story to be weak. It just seemed like we were making something out of nothing. So I gave this book 2 stars. Forgettable. Just honestly forgettable. The next book is The Roommate by Rosie Dannon. So this is about a girl who is from like the upper echelon of society, and she decides to follow this boy who she has had a crush on all her life, all the way across country. Even though everyone in her family tells her not to do that, she wants to do it. She wants this boy. She doesn't want to, you know, like always do what her family wants her to do. So she decides to follow this boy across country. But the boy she follows decides that he no longer wants to live in the place that they live in. He wants to go on tour with his band. So now she is left in this house that she was living with this boy she had a crush on, but now he is gone. So she gets a new roommate, and that is our heroine, our hero in this book. She has a new roommate, where come to find out this new roommate is a porn star, and you see where things kind of get mixed up. She's this prudish girl now living with this porn star, and they are roommates. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I wish this book had more roommate stuff. I actually liked both of the characters, but I think we got bogged down with this like porn star making porn storyline that was just not interesting. I would actually like a book that's about like the porn stuff and creating like porn that, you know, is kind to the people who are in the porn films, but like I didn't want that here. It was mixing too much together. And when I get a roommate story, I love roommate stories, and when I get a roommate story, I need y'all to be roommates. I want a roommate story. I want things about leaving the toilet seat up, leaving toothpaste in the sink, leaving dishes in the sink. I like stuff like that, and that's not what I got from this. And so it was just what? Forgettable. That is the word of this video. Forgettable. It was just forgettable. I am happy I read it because I had it on my bookshelf for quite a long time, but forgettable. The next book is by Ellie Casamano, and that is Finley Donovan Knocks Them Dead. So this is the second installment in the Finley Donovan series. And in this series, we picked up a couple months later after the first book, where basically Finley Donovan is still frequenting this chat room website where people try to get people to murder people for them. So when she is on this website seeing what's going on and who's trying to get hitmen to murder people in their life, she sees that someone is trying to get her husband murdered. Someone is trying to pay someone to murder her husband. So Finley Donovan and her nanny step in, and they're like, we are going to intercept this whole hitman and make sure that my husband, the father of my kids, do not die. So we follow Finley Donovan trying to save her husband's life and trying to figure out who wants her husband killed and why. I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. I will say, in the beginning, I was enjoying this book. I enjoyed being in Finley Donovan's world, learning about what Finley Donovan had been up to, but very quickly, I realized we were getting more of the same, and I realized I did not like more of the same. Like, I was kind of over Finley Donovan is killing it. Like, I was kind of over the stuff that happened in that novel, and we just got more of that. I said this in the vlog, but I believe if you would have made this book into about 100 pages, you could have tacked it on to the end of Finley Donovan is killing it and had a perfectly good novel. I just do not think this was a good second standalone. What I love so much about the first book, the humor, the dynamics, I feel like a lot of that was gone. It just felt, like I said, like a reprise, but not good. It just felt like a regurgitation. It just felt like we were doing this all over again. And I feel like the second book is supposed to open up stakes, open up our world, and that's not what this book did. If anything, I feel like our world is smaller. Like, the walls are closing in on Finley Donovan. Like, we're just very much so bogged down in this mobster stuff, bullshit that I just don't care about. So, like, it wasn't for me. The next book that I read is Faker. This is probably the second worst book that I read this month. I gave this book 1 out of 5 stars. And this book follows a girl who worked for this male-dominated construction company. She is tired of having to like constantly put on a face so that people will respect her at her job. And so one day she's walking around and she hears someone working at her job talking shit about her. And so they have been enemies from then on out. Well, things happen, and the guy who she is enemies with, they have to work on a project together. And as they're working on a project together, that brings us closer together. Our main character, she finds out things about her trauma. She deals with her trauma. Our hero, we find out things about him and what he is going on with. Boring. Like, I literally had to I pulled that synopsis out of the ether because I do not remember this book. This book, the 2 main characters in this book are so fucking insufferable. First of all, this book has continuity issues. Like, sometimes this book is one thing, the next minute this book is another. It's like you're going against exactly what you told us earlier in the book. And second, these 2 main characters are insufferable. And there is no book here. There is no book within this book. These people are literally, once they do get together, they kiss each other at a bar relatively quickly in this book. And once that happens, you really don't need any more of this book. Like, they're a couple. They're literally dating the entire book. There's this like kind of love interest who they're mean to for no apparent reason. And then like there's this like third act breakup that's stupid, and then the book ends, and it's just like, Isn't the point of a romance book is that we go through things, like we have little adventures that we go on and our two characters realize they have fallen in love with each other? Isn't that the point of a romance book? We read it for, it's the journey. What did Miley Cyrus say? It's the climb. Like, we always know in the end someone's going to say they're in love with the other character. It's the climb. It's the things that happen to get us there. We didn't do nothing. There was one bar scene where they realized they like each other. We didn't even get moments of them working on this like little thing together that got them together, like them doing this job together. Like, all we get is her getting heard and him taking care of, like, there's just nothing. But they was already dating by then. Like, they already kissed by then. So it's just like, I feel like somebody did the math wrong. Like, we should have got these things first and then they kiss. Like, 1 out of 5 stars. Homicide and Hollow Hollow is the next book that we have by Mia P. Manasala. So this is the follow-up to Arsenic and Adobo, and I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. So this picks up a few months after Arsenic and Adobo, where our main character is opening up a cafe. Things are different. She's trying to get her life back on track after she almost got framed for murder in the first book. Well, there is a pageant that happens in this town called Shady Falls, Shady something, and basically our main character won that pageant. That's how she was able to leave this small town and go into the city, go to college and make a name for herself. So she's won this pageant before. So they ask her to be a judge at this pageant. She doesn't want to do it, but she does have a business, and this pageant does sponsor small businesses. And also her cousin is going to be in this pageant, which is kind of a reason for her not to do it. And basically the cousin is like, the cousin and her have beef because she beat the cousin in the pageant, so they've never really got along. Well, there's this guy who is also a judge at the pageant, and he's powerful. Everyone loves this guy, whatever. But he likes to cheat on his wife, and he's had all different types of scandals and stuff. So nobody really likes this guy, but everyone likes this guy because this guy is powerful, if that makes sense. Well, he drops dead. One day, our main character is on a walk, and she runs across his dead body, and that opens up a murder investigation surrounding this pageant, surrounding everyone in the town. Who murdered this guy? So you spend the entire book trying to figure out who murdered this guy. People think that it's the cousin who murdered this person, so our main character is trying to exonerate her cousin and like figure out who did the murdering. This book has no stakes. I said it before and I'll say it again. This book lacks stakes. This book lacks a reason for why our main character is involved in this in any way. Like, they keep trying to explain to you why our main character is involved, and you're still sitting here like, I just don't think there's a reason for you to be involved. Like, I kind of believe like this is just gonna go away. Like, this is just gonna go, like, I don't see why you care so damn much. Outside of just caring because, like, you don't want someone to go to jail for, like, being falsely, like, convicted of murder. But, like, also, why do you care so much? Like, I don't know. Like, I just didn't find there to be stakes. The person who did do the murdering, you see from a mile away. A mile away, you know this person did it. I didn't think that person was going to end up being the person who did it. But what can you say? It was just a no for me, which is very unfortunate because I liked Arsenic and Adobo. So anyway, how to fail at flirting. I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. So this is about a girl who just, well, years ago, got out of a relationship with an abusive man. And so because of that, she's kind of been secluded. She's kind of kept herself, like, secure because she doesn't want anyone to be able to do anything to her. But that has caused her not to have a life. So her friends are like, girl, you have to do something with your life. You cannot be a hermit for the rest of your life. You have to go get some man. You got to go sleep with someone, girl. So she ends up going to a bar trying to appease her friends. And she meets a guy at a bar and they start to flirt and they end up hooking up. Well, lo and behold, this man ends up being someone who works at her job because she is a professor at a college and her college is having budget cuts. They're cutting different departments, and so they brought in another team to figure out who to keep, who to go. And the person who is a part of making that decision is the guy that she met at the bar. But also the person in charge of making that decision is her ex-husband. It's her ex who used to abuse her. So you see what's going on here. So she's having to deal with this new guy who is now kind of like holds her fate in his hands, and then she's dealing with this guy who abused her, who also holds her fate in his hands, and all of that while trying to have a relationship, while trying to figure her own shit out. That's how to fail at flirting. My thoughts on this book: I do not like. Okay, let's have the conversation about domestic violence in books. If we're going to have domestic violence in books, I really want us to discuss domestic violence. I want us to discuss what things cause certain people to be in domestic violence situations. How our people feel after domestic violence situations. The things we learn from being in domestic violence situations, and how certain people prey, how people in power prey on certain people in order to get them in domestic violence situations. I just feel like there's so many people want to put domestic violence on the page for shock value, for like, oh my gosh, look at this. You see what people are going through? And no one really wants to have conversations about domestic violence. No one wants to add depth to some domestic violence survivors, or even people who don't survive. No one wants to have the conversation about domestic violence that domestic violence deserves. No one does. People just want to put it on the page for shock value. And that was my problem with this book. But I still enjoyed it. I just think we should be more intentional when we talk about domestic violence, because it just does a disservice to domestic violence survivors to just be like, okay, you went through that, but you'll never go through that again, because you know what? It does a disservice to domestic violence survivors, because it acts as if this one guy who you were in a relationship was just a one-off thing, right? Like, he just exists, he's the bad guy, all of this stuff. He is a bad guy, but like, he's part of a system. He's part of a whole that needs to be discussed. And we need to discuss how we pick the people from those holes, how the people in this hole prey on certain women. That's the thing. That's what I'm gonna say. The Dating Playbook, 5 out of 5 stars. Let me take the bookmark out. 5 out of 5 stars. This book follows our second character from The Dating Project. Do y'all remember when I read The Dating Project? I read The Dating Project. This is the second book in that, and it follows a girl who basically, she is floundering through life. Like, she doesn't know what she wants to do. She ain't got no money. Bill collectors are at her door. And so she decides to start this like fitness thing, this fitness stuff, hoping that she can like do fitness classes and make money from it. Well, one day while she's doing that, a guy comes in, and he is an ex-football player, and he's like, hey, I want to get back into the NFL, and I want you to train me. So they start to train, but quickly they embark on this fake dating situation because reasons. You just have to read the book. Overall, I enjoyed the hell out of this book. This book was cute. This book had emotional depth that got to me. Like, oh my God. I love this book. I'm trying to get through these quicker because I still got 5 books to show y'all, but overall, I love this book. I did. 5 out of 5 stars. Only on the Weekends by Dean Otta. The most frustrating book that I read this month. This book follows a boy, a queer boy, who lives with his father because his mother died. His father is a film guy. He directs films. And basically, he has a crush on the most popular boy at his school. So he becomes friends with the most popular boy at the school's cousin, and they become really tight, really solid. And all of a sudden, as he's hanging out at the friend's house, the most popular boy at school also lives with the friend that he has now, and they start to get close, and they embark on a relationship. The only thing is, the popular boy who's on the basketball team, he is closeted, and our main character is not. So they keep like butting heads on how to have their relationship. Well, all of a sudden, our main character has to go to Scotland because his dad is filming a movie that this guy named Finn is like, who wrote or something or whatever. Who gives a damn? And so he has to go to Scotland, and he goes to Scotland and he meets a new boy. So he is conflicted between these two boys that he has come to like. This book rubs me the wrong way. I was watching a YouTube video of someone who read this book just as I read this book. And they said something that I didn't want to say because I didn't want to be nasty. But now that they said it, I'm going to agree. This book does give anti-blackness. Whoa, this book does give anti-blackness. It does. The K character and all the characters back in London were given the fucking blues in order to uplift these artsy white people up in Scotland. Like, I don't know what it was. This book was trying to make it seem like the main character went to Scotland and it was like a found family thing over there. But all it gave was like shitting on the people who help you get here. Like shitting on everyone you know because you found these cool people up in Scotland. Like he is literally cheating on his boyfriend in Scotland, but he's texting his boyfriend like, are you cheating on me? Like it was just so unserious. And this book does give anti-blackness. I am so damn sorry. The K character, the boy who's on the basketball team, he gets cut no slack, no grace. And like the thing is, he's not actually closeted in the sense where like no one knows that he's gay. His cousin know he's gay. His uncle know he gay. And then he tells someone on the basketball team he gay. So he's not like strict closeted. Like there's just certain people he don't want to tell about his sexuality. But it's just like, well, fuck you. Like I'm gonna be with this guy named Finn who is like artsy and white and all of this. And it's just like, how am I supposed to feel about this? How am I supposed to feel about this? Our main character is insufferable. So I've actually moved this book down some stars, but we'll talk about that in another video. This is the most frustrating book that I read. This book rubbed me the wrong way, and since Monty said that this book gave anti-blackness, I feel like I can say it too, because that's what I wanted to say, but no. A book that did not give anti-blackness is The Stars and the Blackness Between Them. Also, this book is marketed as Black Boy Joy, and it's not that either because he don't end up with the black boy. Okay, we move on. The Stars and the Blackness Between Them. I love this book. This book is about two girls who are from different parts of the world. One is from the islands of Trinidad, and one is from Minneapolis. And basically, they are both lesbians, and they come together when the girl from Trinidad has to move to Minneapolis, and they start a relationship. But we quickly find out that the girl who was already in Minneapolis, she has a terminal illness and probably gonna die. And so over this time, they forge this relationship, and like things happen. I love this book. I did. I like this book a lot. I gave it 4 stars. I really don't have much to say about that. If you want some nice sapphic representation, I believe that it is right here for you. I really like this book. I did. Oh my God, I'm tired of talking about books. The 22 Murders of Madison May. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. So this book is about this guy who is jumping worlds, killing this girl named Madison May. So hear me out. There are a few people in this world who have figured out how to jump from world to world. So in one world, this guy falls in love with Madison May, and he wants to be with Madison May. But somehow he starts to jump worlds, and every time he jumps worlds, Madison May is not the person he knows and fell in love with. So he tries to get Madison May to fall in love with him. But every time Madison May doesn't fall in love with him, he kills her. Every single time he kills her. So there's this guy who is also jumping time, trying to stop him from killing Madison May. But that's not the story. So there's this girl. She is a reporter, and all of a sudden she is reporting on the murder of Madison May, and she notices something weird in a photo with Madison May. And so she goes to look into it, and she finds the guy who is in the photo. And all of a sudden, when she's talking to the guy gives her something, throws her onto the train tracks, and she wakes up and she's a totally different person. She's still the same person, but she lives a totally different life. And so now she is also time jumping and figuring out what the fuck is happening with Madison May. I love the hell out of this book. Was it confusing at times? A little, but I think they did a good job explaining it. I like this book. I think if you want kind of a rogue read, like something that you usually don't read, I would pick this up. This is really a weekend well spent. I think a lot more people should be reading this book. It was fun. It was fun. Like, I liked it. Worst book I read this month. For Aunties and a Wedding. This is the sequel to Dial A for Aunties. I did not like Dial A for Aunties, and I feel vindicated because this book sucks just as much as that one did. So basically in this book, our main character, Mady, is getting married to Nathan over in England. And so all the aunties and Mady are going over to England for a wedding. But they realize that someone who is a photographer in their wedding actually works for the mob and plans on killing someone at their wedding. So they are trying to stop the murder of someone at this wedding, and hijinks ensue. What do I not like about this book? Everything. The plot is weak. It's not funny. The hijinks aren't good. It's ridiculous. Like, and I get it. It's a cozy mystery, so it's supposed to be that way. And I like cozy mysteries. I have so many cozy mysteries on my bookshelf. But this just wasn't good. Like, it was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous. 1 out of 5 stars. Last book. Do you see how, like, my spirit has, like, going down and down and down as I read? Because I remember how much I did. I didn't really enjoy this reading month all that much. 9 Perfect Strangers. 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Morty. So this book follows 9 strangers who all go to this resort in order to get their life together, and then things happen at this resort that a lot of people cannot explain. So you're following a bunch of people at this resort, all their POVs, why they're there, what's happening while they're there, and all of that. I like this book. This book is more of like a character study. Nothing happens in this book, by the way. I'm going to say it so you don't go in here thinking something's going to happen. Nothing happens in this book. I'm starting to realize that's what Leanne Morty kind of does. Like, nothing really happens in Leanne Morty books. Like, the journey is the destination. But I enjoyed it. I loved each and every character. Like, some characters did, like, muddle together, but there's 9 of them. So what are you really going to do? But it's so funny that most people don't like the TV show of this. And I'm like, of course you don't. Like, I don't see, like, I can see how you make a TV show out of this, but nothing's going to happen in the TV show because nothing happens in this book. But I enjoyed this book. This was the first book that I read in June, and I really liked it. I don't know. Like, I enjoyed the characters. There's a main character. What's her name? Frances. Her name was Frances. Frances was so fucking funny. She was so fucking funny. I loved it. Anyways, that's the end of this one. I hope you all enjoyed. By the way, I did launch the book club, the Lily Reads book club. So if you would like to join in on the book club, go watch that video I posted. And yeah, learn about the books that we are going to be reading for the Lily Read Books Club. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.